Underdog Daily with the Badge Bros rolls on without our guy Nez Takes, but we have a very, very viable replacement today. Our guy Hayden Winks from Underdog Fantasy. But before we get to Hayden, we're gonna pick his brain on all the selfish things to get us caught up on big board season here. But before we get to Hayden, I got to address 3 things for the community off the top today. Day 2 of the silent protest marches on. This shirt, guys, still fits me. It still fits me. She tried to give it away. It's fine. Day 2 of the silent protest marches on. Second thing we got to hit on. Get your Mr. Good Boys in the chat. It is Mr. Good Boy's birthday today. His 4th birthday. Get him in the chat. And number 3, most importantly, much love to the community for all the supports, all the DMs, all the reaching out. The fish finally got home last night. We're on a bit of a heater here. We've taken down 3 separate basketball slates this week. No Nez, no coincidence. I don't know, Hayden. People are saying, but no, much love to the community for reaching out in a big, big way. The support goes both ways.
That's awesome. What do you say is your best sport? Drafts.
Baseball
drafts.
Yeah, I think the sheer volume of NBA makes it easy to be like NBA's good for me, but like I'd say I'm probably a top 50 player in NBA. Right. But baseball, I think I could maybe sniff and crawl my way to top 20, maybe. Something.
What about in real life? You got 7-on-7, 3-on-3, or it's just you at the plate or you up on the mound? What are you best
at? Can I deviate from all of that and say 3-on-3 on the ice?
Yeah, I saw where this is coming. Classic 51st state take.
Yeah, the ice is where I'm best at. I would say baseball was my best sport growing up, though. Hockey and baseball were kind of interchangeable there.
I like it.
Hayden, man, good to see you, dude. Lots changed since we saw you last. Unfortunately, didn't get to see you at the Dog Bowl and stuff like this year. That's something I really look forward to. Our catch-ups, our hangouts, hopefully in the cards this year. But Fatherhood, dude, how's it been?
Yeah, that's what the timing. The last 2 were brutal for me. The Dog Bowl for NFL in December was just too close to the newborn, and then this last one, it was in the middle of NFL free agency. So I was thinking about making a trip down there because it's not that far from San Diego, but like we were just doing DK Metcalf trades and stuff that have just been too difficult to pull off. So hopefully the timing works out, but it sounds like we're like scaling these Dog Bowls up every single time we get some more information on it. And I'm hoping to make the pitch that it stays in Southern California. I think Newport Beach would be awesome. Ooh. Orange County, Malibu. Let's keep it in the San Diego, LA region.
I'm all here for it, man. That hop, skip, and a jump 2-hour flight for me, coupled with the nice weather and stuff like that. It was truly top shelf. This most recent experience there. Yeah. Dude, you brought up how you guys were doing those little free agent videos and that sort of thing. I love stylistically what you guys have been doing here. Obviously, we're now into like the prospect videos where you guys are doing kind of like the 10-15 minute ones, but I loved your guys' blend of the long form content and then those short snippet videos. I know it's a lot of work for the producing team and for you guys and stuff, but dude, hat tip to you guys because those things are clean as hell and turned out great.
Yeah, I mean, we have so much time in the off season to do like long form stuff. Like to me, just like having, hey, this was our initial takes on in 10 minutes in and out. I think that's just probably the best way to do it. You don't get as sidetracked with it. And yeah, we take like 15 minutes to digest the contract and stuff. And we've hopefully we're able to package those in because it's almost like a timestamp. We can go back and be like, look, this is very clearly where we were at the time of the move. And it's good to hold us accountable.
Dude, yeah, I mean, like holding yourself accountable. We could take that either which way because it's such a landscape that changes so much. But just the packaging of it, I thought has been so great. Dude, let's play a little catch up. This show is selfishly about me in some regard because for the multi-sport drathlete community and everyone that's around here who's not nearly as tapped in as you were telling me this morning that you've basically watched tape on fucking everybody already. Now, we got to play catch up before BBM season. As soon as the dinger fills, I'm going to have about 30 days to jam my target number of about 35 to 50 big boards and then get ready for BBM season post draft there. In this window of time, like, leading up to pre-draft, I got to play catch up on these rookies, right?
Let's do it.
And I want to ask you just strength, weakness of overarching classes and kind of like how we should be viewing it through the lens of our draft games right now.
All right. I like it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. One blanket word for the quarterback class here.
Ward. I think it's just a one guy show. Yeah. So to me, I've watched a lot of tape on all these guys. I've watched every single game of Shedeur Sanders. I think that he's way below Cam Ward. I think that Cam Ward is got a chance to be like a top 10 NFL quarterback, like Jordan Love, the older Deshaun Watson, not the most recent Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray, that tier. He's not as physically gifted as the top guys. He's a tier below that, but he's got a little bit of creativity to his game. Wasn't utilizing the ground game as much, but I think there's a little bit more to that. Shedeur Sanders, it's the combination of the drifting backwards without having the physical tools to overcome that. And I think that even if he does get starts as a rookie, like let's say he goes top 10, which I'm very 50-50 on that even happening, I would run into like the Bryce Young rookie season stuff where like it feels like the pocket's collapsing on him. You just don't see enough physical traits. And Bryce Young has more physical traits than Shedeur Sanders does. And then with Jackson Dart, Milrose, Shuck, all those guys, I think these guys are going to get drafted in a place where they could get some starts. But I think there's a developmental curve with those three guys. I think that if there was going to be one guy I would have the most faith in would be Tyler Shuck, but you saw him run the least. So for fantasy purposes, I really think it's like draft a bunch of Cam Ward. If you wanted 20th round, just throw the rest of this class into the mix, sure. But to me, this is like a one guy we want to have faith in, and the rest of these guys are like pure QB3 dart throw types.
Okay, so a lot of this is going to deal with landing spot with Ward, but I watched your guys' first 2-round mock there, and you had him going 1-0-1 to the Titans there. So for our intents and purposes, let's just play him on the Titans right now. Where is a reasonable ADP for him come BBM season?
Yeah, I think kind of where he's being drafted right now is probably pretty accurate because, I mean, the Titans, it's not great over there. I think we have major questions about the scheme from last year. I didn't really see a bunch of creativity in the pass game. Obviously, we're talking about Will Levis with a kind of a guy that has a history of wanting to get the ball out quicker. So I think Cam Ward's probably a better blend between Joe Burrow versus Will Levis for Callahan. The offensive line is much better this year, but is it perfect? It's not. Who's the freaking wide receiver 2 on the Titans? Like,
yeah,
I don't know who it is. Like, truthfully, I don't know who the wide, like them losing Nick Westbrook-Ikhine is like actually a big deal. Yeah, Chigaquanko for his 40% snaps is the next in line. Like, it is bleak in terms of the wide receivers. And Calvin Ridley is like the one, and he's not a one. He's a fine player, but he's not an exceptional player. So like, I think that's where the landing spot gets a little dicey there. I think he will go first overall. There's a chance the Browns or the Giants make too big of an offer for the Titans to turn that down. But the fact that the Titans weren't interested in any of these veteran quarterbacks to me, and they get the left tackle so they can move their previous left tackle to right tackle where he was in college. It's definitely get Zeitler in there, an older guy for guard. Like, to me, the signals that it's going to be Cam Ward. And for me, in my top 100 big board, he will be my first overall player over Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter.
Okay, cool. Yeah, love it. Very comprehensive there, Hayden. I mean, from our game standpoint, like, he didn't really show big rushing upside, right? Like, it's like part of his game, but it's not fully like that. So like, this would be like extremely tapered expectations for him year one kind of deal. BBM season like that. Like, it's not like a guy that is going to be like a fly up the board guy. I think people will chase the veterans and potential veterans signing, like, Rodgers in Minnesota or New York, like something like that. I think the community will chase those guys above Cam Ward, even if he goes 1. Do you think that's wrong?
I don't. Like, I think that Matthew Stafford goes right ahead of Cam Ward currently. And
right now, yeah.
I would go Adam Stafford stacks like over Ridley Ward stacks. The rushing component is going to be interesting for Cam Ward because he's a good athlete. He's not some crazy straight line athlete. You see it in spurts. He only had 3 zone read attempts all year last year. So
Oh,
the quarterback design game was like non-existent. He's definitely more athletic than like what Miami was like allowing him to do. Maybe he was just such a good passer. They're like, well, the passing plays goes for first downs every single time. Why are we going to try to run the quarterback that much? But he did scramble a decent amount, nothing groundbreaking there. So I think that there's more rushing production to be had, and he may be forced into that just based off of game script and how the receivers are doing all that type of stuff. So yeah, I think it'd be similar to like Jordan Love. If like Jordan Love wanted to take off and run more, you can see it. Now the Packers supporting cast is good enough where he doesn't have to do that. So I think for fantasy purposes, he's not gonna have the Kyler Murray rushing ability. Maybe not even like the Bo Nix rushing ability from last year. I think that he's going to be more in the average category there, and I think that he's probably a better dynasty play than like a best ball mania play.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I love that take. Let's talk about the running back group for a second here. Obviously, a lot more to parse through here. My understanding right now is the running back group is deeper than the other positions we'll be dealing with in BBM in this class. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say that is correct. I think the one thing we have to be careful of with this class, there's going to be some day 2 running backs, but they are in the committee profile. So like Travion Henderson, like was pretty capped in how much like actual volume he got. Now he's so explosive, he's so good in the pass game that I think depending on the landing spot, he can overcome that. Quinshon Judkins on the reverse side of that. We'll see how much he's going to use in the pass game. So I think those are a little bit wishy-washy. So we might have some like draft capital that's a little bit ahead of like where the volume projection is going to be. Caleb Johnson, I think, is an okay player, nothing special. I think that he'll go in that range. But I think it's like the round 3 guys is like where I can get pretty, you can kind of see some guys turning into like low-end starters, like your Devin Singletary plus kind of range, which like I think you can get some volume hogs in there. I think like Dylan Sampson, DJ Giddens are options, even like players that are like really old, like RJ Harvey. Just watched him. I think that he has a chance to go top 100. So yeah, we'll get to all those guys individually, but there's probably 10, 11 names where I feel like these guys are going to get some real touches. But I do think Genty's by himself. I would say probably Hampton's in that next tier, and then the guy I actually have like the most like intrigue with in terms of for fantasy purposes is Scatabo. Like,
oh yeah,
I mean, my spreadsheets love Scatabo, and he's difficult to tackle. So he doesn't get as much buzz, but like compare like the potential volume from like Scatabo versus Travion Henderson, you can start seeing like how for fantasy in particular, like Scatabo can all of a sudden project really well. So I would say he's my favorite target right now.
Cool. I like that. I mean, I put Scatabo into my sheet and it just started popping back. Hardworking, gritty, gym rat. It gave me a Peyton Hillis comp for some reason.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's very interesting stuff with what was going on in my sheet there.
I have seen a lot of people say like, oh, he's going to be a fullback. I'm like, what fullback has like 99th percentile, like all of these metrics I'm looking like? To me, like he's like James Conner. Like,
yeah, I just mentally keep going back to the playoff game that they had, and he just did everything. Yeah. Like it was insane.
Yeah. I mean, Arizona State got there, and he was the only guy. Like maybe that'll translate. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. One blanket word for this RB class.
Oh man, I guess you would go deep, but yeah, I think like it might be one of these where like the players ranked 160th to 190th are like really intriguing, and maybe like if Travion Henderson's like all of a sudden a 40th overall player, like you kind of skip over that tier and wait a little bit. And just you just see like how kind of stagnant the free agency pool was for running backs. Like I think there's gonna be a lot of guys that are drafted near 100th overall that have the ability to leapfrog their starter, just because like the class is deeper, like in the round 3-4 turn guys.
Okay, that's interesting because like my mind goes to last year we were kind of wish casting, you know, the Lloyds of the world, the Quorums of the world to be guys that vaulted. It sounds like this year's draft class has more guys that could be drafted that then do actually vault.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I think unfortunately with like Corum, like I do think that that's just one of those where the sample size is one, and if Kyron gets hurt, Corum would have been awesome. So it's like it's
True.
tough. Like you would hope that they don't go to like a backfield where like the starter was already getting 20 plus touches. But there's a lot of backfields that are not built out that way. Like whoever goes to the Giants, I think like these guys can go compete with Tyrone Tracy, who I do like and appreciate. But I think you're going to see like a lot of backs like whoever goes to the Cowboys, like that guy's going to go vaulting way up. So there's lots of backfields that are wide open just because this free agency class was miserable. Like Najee signs for like 5 mil. Aaron Jones resigns, and like everybody else, it's pretty bleak.
Yeah, no, I think it's weird that the landscape felt pretty bleak in terms of skill position free agents just in general
Yeah.
this season.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, if it was like an age plateau year or if like the way contracts were structured prior to that. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know
I
why
don't
that
know
was.
why. I don't know why it felt that way for whatever reason. Actually, while we're on just random sidebar, we could talk about some of these guys while we draft and stuff like that. But just random sidebar there, the Higgins plus Chase deals there
Mhm.
that were signed there. Like just in general, did you have any macro kind of like thoughts?
Yeah, I think the Bengals waited too long. They could have got these guys for cheaper, but still, like T. Higgins hits the open market, he's getting 34 plus. So the Bengals still are saving the $6 million in like EV versus where he would on the open market. And I think Chase, if he hit the open market, some team, I mean, with the Patriots not giving 44, like I still think like
Right.
even though they waited,
The
like the
Patriots have
fact,
tried to give everyone money
right,
and nobody wants it.
right. If they're giving Chris Godwin 30 mil coming off of
Yeah.
his injury, then I think they would be willing to go 44. So I think it's one of those things where, yeah, like the optimal was to sign him last year.
Hmm.
It's still better than like letting these guys walk, and I would rather pay T. Higgins. And the other thing is like a lot of teams, it wouldn't be smart to pay 2 wide receivers this much money. Have you seen how much the Bengals pass the ball? Like Joe Burrow's getting these guys enough targets to go around. So I think it was smart for the Bengals to keep both of them on. And if they don't hit on their defensive draft picks like they have in like the last couple of years, then this team's not going anywhere. Like it really just comes down to like what is the percent of the first and second and third round draft picks that you're making actually hit the last couple of years? It has not been enough, and that's why they've been bad.
Okay. Yeah, my spiciest take associated with this, Pete and I did a big board draft together on Tuesday. And my spiciest take with this right now, just looking at the landscape of ADP, is
Mm-hmm.
that the Bengals are about to get the Miami treatment of last year, where everyone was like, okay, Miami go Burr, and they push up Achan to the second round. They
Mm-hmm.
push up Waddle to like that corner spot. I think we're gonna see, I mean, if the Bengals only add like a day 4 running or day 3 running back,
Mm-hmm.
something like that, like a 4th round guy, um, I think we could get all 3 of those Bengals pieces getting pushed up and then people fighting over the Burrow stack.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big part. Now, Teagan's probably going to be saying that 2-3 turn, right? Most likely, and then Chase is going to be there. So like it'll be curious if Burrow's like automatically just 4 or 5 turn and just going to be, is it double stacks or which guy you're going to have to play the board just based off of the where the board
Yeah.
lines up. I think Chase Brown's going to be fascinating because if it's just him, we saw him. He was a top 10 running back, no problem. But I do think he kind of qualifies, and of the guys we're going to mention in the rookie class, like if there's a round 3 player in there, like it's going to be a real competition. And I think that's going to be one of the backfields everyone's going to be looking to target.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were looking at target last year and it was Zach Moss, and we didn't know how well they were going to pass
Mm-hmm.
last year. And now just imagine what it's going to be this year.
Yep.
After also after seeing it, right? Let's do the wide receiver group just kind of as a blanket right now. I think I got to ask the dirtiest ADP question available right now. I'm sorry I haven't had time to watch your show with Daigle just yet, but I imagine you guys hit on this guy because it's unavoidable to
Right.
talk about Hunter, right? And it's just, what do we do with his ADP right now? Because pending a landing spot, you could make a bull case that he could be a top 5 round pick, 4 round,
Mm-hmm.
4, 5, 6 round pick in big boards right now. Or if he simply plays corner and doesn't mix in and plays like 10 gadgety slot
Right.
snaps a week, he shouldn't even be getting drafted. So where do you
Yeah.
fall on that spectrum? Where do you think a landing spot will be? That sort of thing.
So first of all, the Travis Hunter evaluation, I think he would be the best wide receiver in this class. He would be just right up there with Neighbors and Marvin Harrison and Rome Odunze from last year's class. He's sensational. He's that good at wide receiver. Now he's also that good at corner. So like I get the debate here. So I think it really
Yeah.
comes down to like he's only dropping in the draft so far. So like we can just like look at the teams and which side we think he's going to play. Tennessee, I think that they're going to be most likely Cam Ward. So I think that they're most likely he's not going to go to the Tennessee Titans. The Browns have already said that he would be a wide receiver for them because they want to use his ball skills, which I think was a really sharp take. Just like, hey, he's really good at catching the ball and making plays. Like, why don't we dictate how many times that happens instead of the other team doing that? I was like, you just solved the problem right there. He's like, we want to dictate how many times he's playing on the ball. I was like, all right, that makes sense. And the Browns don't have that much depth at wide receiver. So I think that if he goes 2 to the Browns, I think he'd play wide receiver. Now the Giants, like let's say they have it's Rodgers or Russ, or and if it can't be Shador Sanders plus Travis Hunter. So if it's going to be a veteran quarterback and he goes to the Giants, are you really going to tell that veteran quarterback that we're not going to use Travis Hunter as a wide receiver? Like, I don't know. I feel like he would play wide receiver for the Giants. New England, for sure. Do you have Drake May? Oh, man, we just signed Carlton Davis. We already have Christian Gonzalez. He's going to play corner. Like, I don't know. I feel like the Patriots would put him at wide receiver. So, like, to me, like before, I was like, I'm not sure how much wide receiver he's going to play because that's like what the early reports were. But 2, 3, 4, Browns, Giants, Patriots, those are the most likely landing spots at this point. You're telling me they're going to play corner on those teams? I don't know, man. So I've changed my tune. I want to draft a lot of Travis Hunter just because I think he's going to end up playing wide receiver. And if he was playing wide receiver, he's a guy that should have a ton of hype, like just as much as the last year guys at the very top. And those were second, third rounders. So I think once we get the final quarterback and landing spot, I think like there would be a path to him being like a 4th or 5th round pick.
Is he better than Rome? He's better than Rome, right? Yeah. So he's
and
like, I think you said Neighbors level.
Yeah, I mean, Neighbors was so freaky after the catch against explosiveness. I think that Travis Hunter is like has one gear down from that, but Travis Hunter's ball skills were incredible. So yeah, I mean, after watching Marvin Harrison this last year, I think that Travis Hunter, if he played wide receiver, would for sure be a better wide receiver in the NFL than Marvin was.
Oh, wow, that gets me excited there. So what's a reasonable price right now in the big boards? Because ever since Pete made his video and he kind of echoed the sentiments of what you're saying here, he has been a bit of a riser in these drafts, but it is extremely volatile where he goes every single draft. What would be a comfortable ADP for you right now?
Oh man, I'd have to look at the names, but I think like 70s, 80s, 80s would probably make a lot of sense to me. So yeah, like it's got to go above the Darnell Mooney's. Like if we've seen a ceiling capped on the wide receivers in that tier, I would put him the next tier above. Like I would rather have him than Luther Burden. You know, like I don't see the Luther Burden like being a number 1 wide receiver in the league. Same thing with Jacoby Myers. Like to me, I think he's got to go Ricky Pearsall. I think he's got to go ahead of those guys. Like especially in these tournaments, like it's going to be a lot different in redraft where you can make the playoffs if 4 out of 12 teams make the playoffs and you got to get lucky from there. Like with this, when you have to come in first and second to advance, like you really want to swing for the fences. And to me, the upside is worthwhile now.
Man, I got kind of excited thinking about him alongside Neighbors for the Giants there. The problem is then you just in the back of your mind go, I guess the best option is Aaron Rodgers to be slinging it to them. Right. And then you go, well, he had Adams and Garrett Wilson last year and they played so effing slow with him under center and bleeding clock and that sort of thing. And it's like, yeah, that'd be pretty fun to watch from a real life football standpoint, I guess. But in terms of fantasy, does it really move the needle, or would you rather just have Neighbors on his lonesome as a first round pick?
Oh yeah, I hope that's Neighbors plus a veteran quarterback and they get Abdul Carter or something like that. But we'll see. Neighbors is going to be hard just because we don't have the wide receiver competition ironed out yet, and we don't have quarterback ironed out yet. So, and I think if Travis Hunter does go to the Browns at 2, we don't know who their quarterback is going to be. So like that's where like I think that there's the landing spots can only get so good for Travis Hunter, and then you would always have in the back of your mind that he could not play as much wide receiver as we're hoping for. So like compared to neighbors and the hype that we saw last year from those wide receivers, I don't think it can reach that high just because there are going to be some question marks that we didn't necessarily see from those guys last year.
I'll ask you the same question again here. Blanket statement for the wide receiver class, and then maybe just another name or two that you're kind of like higher on than respective ADP right now in terms of just the rookies.
So I think most people, their take is its wide receiver class isn't very good. I'll just say it's underrated. Like I think Emeka Egbuka is a good player. I think there's a chance when we get his pro day numbers that all of a sudden he's like, okay, very productive. Everyone loves this guy. Could stay on the field in 2 wide receiver sets because he's such a good blocker and so physical. And then like if he does hit 4 threes, like Daniel Jeremiah saying in the pro day, he looks a lot better. Matthew Golden, I think there's enough buzz with him that he might go top 20. And then all of a sudden we're looking at a guy that runs in the 4.2s, top 20 draft capital. We're excited about him. I think most people are going to be excited about Ted McMillan because his production, he's going to go top 20 as well. So like there's a couple guys plus the Travis Hunter hype. Like, I don't know. I think that there's these guys are a little bit better than I was kind of anticipating when I was watching them. And then I'll throw another name, day 2 guy, Jalen Knoll, more of like a Tyler Lockett vertical slot guy out of Iowa State. I think he was really damn good too. So I think he's on the radar. Jaden Higgins, his teammate, he's on the radar. So I don't know. It's not crazy, but these guys are needle movers to some degree.
Jaden Higgins has been a big time community buzzword leader right now. Every chat, every time we're drafting, guys are saying Jaden Higgins, and pushing him up, 25, 30 spots in drafts. The stream draft we did on Tuesday, he went in like the 13th or 14th round, like something like really pushed up, whereas guys were getting him in the 18th and 18 through 20 in pre-draft season or pre-combine season rather.
Yeah, I think he's going to go 50th overall, 40th overall, somewhere kind of in that range. He's an outside player, 39-inch vertical at 214 pounds. He was pretty productive, 91 yards per game, 33% of the team receiving yards, and that was playing with Jalen Knoll, who's very good. So, yeah, they didn't like ask him to run a ton of routes, but I think there was enough kind of bend for a player of that size where you can kind of see him being like a quality number 2 wide receiver in the league and somebody that's going to play all the snaps.
Cool. I want to ask you a back row question, especially associated with the wide receivers, because at this point in time, there's guys who are way sicker than me right now, obviously, who are deep in the weeds, who have consumed all your guys' content, who are, doing their own research and that sort of thing. For me right now, if I kind of have blinders to some of these rookies and their profiles and landing spots in the big board, do you think it's a viable strategy for me to just wave veteran guys in lieu of randomized rookie adjacent to them in terms of ADP? Like if I'm just staring, like I'm just like, if we just look at like Jalen Noel's ADP here is like 186 right now. And if I'm standing there and I'm on the clock and I go, I know what Wan'Dale Robinson is. I know what Joshua Palmer is, professional ass wide receiver, going to be 3rd or 4th option on a rotating offense. Like, am I just always going to be better to just be like, yeah, Jalen Noel, like that at this point in time?
I think so. Yeah, I think especially later on in the drafts, I think that there's like we kind of lock on to the same 6 names, and then like if all these guys are like picked 60th overall and stuff, like all of a sudden, like some of those veterans are pretty damn good. Like how many rookies have gone ahead of James Conner over the years? For example, like that range where it's like they just never really like hit the potential that we're hoping for. So I think like as you kind of go down the draft board, I would be more and more willing to go with that strategy.
Awesome. Yeah, it's kind of where my mind keeps going to, and I think maybe that's a little bit skewed from seeing some of the big board winners from last year, and the War Room winner from last year had like 10 rookies on it or something insane, where it was just like, man, like football is just like, there's a reason these guys' careers are 2.8 years long, and there's so much high rate turnover for some of these young guys that it's just so effing important to consume your guys' content and understand who each of these players are, but also B, when you're looking at these names, we're trying to win a super top heavy tournament here. Like I think I know what Demario Douglas's ceiling is, even if
Definitely.
they don't sign Steph Diggs and a
Mhm.
bunch of other places people to replace them kind of deal.
And I would say
Um,
especially at wide receiver, it just like with the veterans going this late at wide receiver, we've kind of figured these guys out. I think it gets a little bit harder at some of the other positions. But yeah, I think in general, getting some rookies early on. And I think like really like if you pay attention to what Brugler and Daniel Jeremiah and
mhm.
Field Yates are saying, you can have a pretty good indicator of where these guys are actually going to get drafted. So,
Come
um,
on, Hayden, put yourself on that list,
well,
bro.
I follow those guys and then I relay the information. So I guess you can just follow me too. But they're the ones that are actually giving me the EV of where these guys are going to get going. But I think on the inverse of that, like someone like Luther Burden, who I think initially, like if you're just asking everybody in January, he was going top 20 and like trust the sophomore year. And like now you get less and less buzz about him. And he might be like the 39th overall player or somebody like that. And I'm not sure if his ADP is going to be dropping enough. There's probably going to be some good veterans in that mix. I wouldn't like blindly click the rookie wide receivers like in that tier as much.
Okay, cool. Yeah, good overarching alpha there. I want to ask you about the tight end class because I think people are telling me that it's strong right now.
Yep.
We have seen some rookie tight ends, aka Brock Bowers right here, and Trey McBride the year before that to a little bit of a lesser extent there, and Sam Laporta as well. Have we done away with the notion of rookie tight end breakout window is a couple years after being in the league with kind of like the evolution of the position now, that
Mm-hmm.
we should be hammering some of these back end rookie tight ends that could just have instant impacts?
I think the way the NFL tight ends are being used now is a little bit different than like the peak Gronk era. Like you see so much more RPO. You see way more of the blocks that tight ends are being asked, where they're like sliding across the behind the line of scrimmage instead of like down blocking. So you're kind of hiding some of like the the less high end blockers, and like you're allowing
Okay.
those guys just to play wide receiver more or less, or a slot wide receiver. And so I think there's an easier path. So like someone like Sam Laporta, who's like not a good blocker, pretty undersized, but he's out there a lot because Ben Johnson is such a creative offensive mind that they're able to hide him more and get him out on the field and actually throw him the ball where his upside's going to come in. So I just think that the way the NFL and these offensive minds are looking at things, they're not asking these tight ends to block nearly as much as they did previously, even with like teams running the ball a little bit more. It's just like the types of blocks have changed over the years. And this class is really damn good. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, perfectly articulated there. Yeah, my mind started reeling when you dropped the Ben Johnson name there. I mean, I might get a skewed answer here because of the hat in which you're wearing and your alma mater affiliations
Mm-hmm.
here, but are we bullish on the potential impact that he is going to have on Caleb and them addressing offensive line and that immediately after signing him to be the head coach?
Yeah, I'm extremely bullish on Caleb, and I think the reason why is he took a lot of sacks and stuff, and he was visibly frustrated, and so definitely a lot of it was his fault. But I think at the same time, there's a lack of details, like in the past game as well, where players either weren't trying, they weren't like playing on time, they weren't running the route depth correctly, and I think that Ben Johnson's like a total like genius, super like. I mean, you can just tell how much of a junkie he is with this stuff. And I think that this team like just needed more like maturity. And I think that they're going to get that with Ben Johnson. And then having the offensive line up front, I think is going to matter a ton because Caleb's like not the tallest dude out there. So interior pressure for him is going to matter a lot more than somebody that stands at 6'5".
Yep.
And uh, Caleb, I think, will wanted to play more on time and get the ball out on time more than the offense allowed it. And I think that he'll get more confidence in doing that. And then all of a sudden, Rome Odunze should look a lot better, and hopefully they get the best out of DJ Moore with the new staff there, and then having obviously 3 upgrades at the guard center guard spot is definitely going to matter.
Yeah, no, I think those upgrades were so huge along with the schematic changes here. I'm kind of, changing my tune a little bit here and getting a little excited there. We have a nice little SCU dub resurgent season connection here. I'm here for it. One overarching word for the tight end rookie grouping here, and then maybe a name or two of the scroll the F down variety, or just of potential risers in the class if they find good landing spots.
Cool. I'll just go with Loveland. I
Okay.
think he's the truth. Like,
Oh, love it.
I think he's better than Tyler Warren. I think he's definitely better than Tyler Warren as a receiver. I think his game translates better than Warren as a receiver. He's 6'5" plus. He's weighs more than people thought he was going to weigh. And he was just routing people up from like actual wide receiver. Like,
yeah,
he was bending and he was exploding. He has awesome ball skills. I think that he looks like one of the best receiving tight ends that I've watched. He's light years better than the Dalton Kincaid tier, the Laporta tier, all those guys that have been pretty effective in recent draft classes. I think he clears pretty much all of them except for Brock Bowers, who was just so good yards after the catch wise that I don't want to put Loveland in that category. But man, like, I think like he's like could play like some wide receiver. Like, that sounds crazy, but he is that good to me. So we're not going to get that much hype from him because he's not going to be testing. I think that he's still dealing with an injury, and we're not going to get that. His production was down because of the offense and the quarterback. But man, like, go watch some of his highlights and like get back to me and like start naming the tight ends that you've seen move that well at that size. And I think that he's going to end up being a little bit better of a blocker than people are giving him credit for. He was playing through an AC joint injury, and I think that probably explains some of the stuff. And he's more than big enough to play all the Y tight end snaps as well.
Love that. Another guy that's getting buzz in our community a little bit is Arroyo, who goes like in the last round, and he was now pushing up a little bit. Do you have just any macro thoughts as we could pivot to a draft here?
Yeah. So with Arroyo, it's like all explosiveness. Like, if you looked at his just bombs, like 4-minute highlight tape, you would like see all of his big plays. He wasn't utilized that much like underneath. So like a lot of the tight end production is kind of like a little hitch route in zone coverage and then make the most out of it after that. You don't really see that with Arroyo at all. You see big wheel routes on the perimeter. You see seam routes. And he's got enough size where I do think that he can be an inline guy as well. I think it's going to take a little bit of development with him. But like straight line explosiveness, like, yeah, he's a potential difference maker. I think he's probably going to go late round 2 to mid round 2 if I had to guess. So there's some pretty intriguing landing spots depending on where he goes. He's definitely multiple tiers down than the Loveland types, but I think he's like almost like a better and best ball type of tight end. I think the downside would be he turns into who's the Packers tight end that busted Luke. Oh man.
How long back are you going?
No, not Tucker Kraft. The other guy, Luke Musgrave.
Oh my God. We're like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I was
he's already deep diving
here. Like, you're looking at me to say like Jermichael Finley or something.
No. Just recently.
Yeah. Luke
like
Musgrave.
Those guys had similar skill sets in that, like the downfield shot plays, like you can see like how that can translate into like a really high end player. I think it takes a little bit of development to get the well-roundedness with that. And I think that's probably why he's going to go round 2 instead of like early round 2. But I definitely have some interest.
All right, cool. Actually, you brought up landing spot there for 1 second. I was throwing one out the other day that intrigued me for tight end position, like landing spot for a tight end in general. And it was because of the lack of depth at the wide receiver position. This was a week ago. Now they've since added 2 bodies. But I was intrigued by the fact that Kubiak likes to use so many tight ends, and they do like, some 12 stuff and that sort of thing. And then bringing in Darnold, like I was thinking that Seattle was going to kind of be like a low key spot for one of these rookie tight ends. And then Noah Fant would become a cut candidate, that sort of thing. That was one spot that kind of interests me. I don't know if you agree with that one. Or if there's like some other spots that would be like, what would be like a nutted landing spot for Loveland, for instance.
Yeah. So you actually just nailed it. My last mock draft, I had Loveland to the Seahawks at 18th overall. So
I knew someone smarter than me had already said it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes a ton of sense. Like this tree utilizes this type of skill set out there. There's a lack of receiver depth. on that team. I think that he would be fantastic for them. For like Arroyo and like that tier, the Chargers 55th overall, like that's pretty ripe for Taylor, Arroyo, Fannin, those types. I'm very curious to see what the Chiefs do at 63 overall. Are they a team that's looking ahead with the Travis Kelce stuff? The Eagles are another quiet team at 64. Dallas Goedert is a trade candidate. Do they just say, hey, we'll go find one of these guys? I don't want to forget about Terrence Ferguson either. I think that he's going to go in this round 2-3 turn. I'm not sure where his ADP was, but he was not somebody that was like popping early on, but his NFL combine pretty much vaulted him into the top 75 kind of range. So he's completely free.
He's buried. Yeah.
That would be somebody like I would sprinkle a little bit of T Ferg just to be have some fun.
Well, speaking of having fun and sprinkling, let's see if we can fill ourselves a big board draft here. You know what? I'm feeling a little frisky here. Who's gonna pony up for a bigger board or a biggest board here? Let's see if we can get this one started here. We got what do we got? 200 plus people. Oh my god, 11 more spots. This is not happening. We perfectly came in at the wrong time. Let's see. We'll
run it back like maybe like a week before the draft and stuff, and we could we'll fill it out.
And then we could fill a big one. Okay. Yeah, I think we're going to be hard pressed. I mean, we got 200 plus of us watching right now. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell, all that fun stuff. Please and thank you. You guys will actually also, that's a little one. We don't want a little one. Come on. There we go. Pump faking everyone here. We'll get in here. But yeah, if you guys are hanging out right now, you will be automatically funneled to the members only stream that's going to take place right after this. Your champ from I guess I should delete these ranks here. That were just names we were talking about. Your champ from last night is going to be walking you guys through that 5-game NBA slate there. So you guys will be redirected there, but that will be for the members only. So pony up for that $5 a month. I know, 1 cup of coffee to support my dog going forward. Speaking of which, he's just fucking lying upside down, living his best life on the couch over here.
That's good on him.
Influencer 101 Hayden. What are we thinking, bro?
Yeah, let's keep it simple. Ja'Marr Chase, right? I mean,
playing the hits.
Yeah. I don't really have. I guess you can make a case for Saquon, but I'd rather go with Ja'Marr Chase. Like, that defense is going to be crap still. So
yeah, they're going to have an insane pass rate, triple crown guy. I mean, he looks every bit of, top 3 wide receiver in the league, period, if not the best one.
Yep, definitely.
But his situation feels so much more solidified than even Lamb and Jefferson, right?
Oh, yeah. I think that he's basically a tier by himself. I love Justin Jefferson, but to me, like, if you're just like looking at what are the odds, JJ McCarthy, or if it's Rodgers, or you name the veteran comes in there, replicates 35 passing touchdowns, like, I mean, that's a really low chance. Like, you can crap on Sam Darnold all you want. The Sam Darnold season last year was spectacular, and I think that the odds that the Vikings replicate that are pretty low, and Jefferson wasn't in the same tier as Chase. I think
Could you imagine if Aaron Rodgers just goes full Brett Favre career arc with Jets, then Vikings to close it, and they just get a wild card game? He throws a pick 6 to end his career and rides off into the sunset. Like,
it would happen. It's probably the most likely scenario. Like, he would put awesome numbers, and then like only one team actually wins the Super Bowl, so it would end in disaster. Yeah, that's probably the most likely scenario. I do really think that Rodgers is desperate to go for the Vikings, and he might be crazy enough to leave a good 20 mil on the table this year to make it happen. So we'll see what happens there. I think it's still fairly unlikely, but I do think that's probably the primary reason why he hasn't, signed the dotted line on the Steelers contract, is that he just really wants to play for the Vikings. And I think that they're just probably buying time, evaluating how healthy JJ McCarthy is, how ready he is for the season. I think that the Vikings are going to bring in somebody veteran wise for McCarthy. and they're running out of names. You start looking at the free agent
Right.
quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like there's only so many names that would actually kind of fit the style that they're going for. So we'll see. I think that's probably the reason why Rodgers is holding out.
I mean, we've seen insane spike week performances from like the likes of Nick Mullins and Joshua Dobbs and stuff like that in KOC's offense. There now does far or to far. I'm already saying far. Does Rodgers want to even play within said structure, or is he just going to be like old school, hard headed guy of like, no, I play this way. Give me Randall Cobb. Like it's just like silly like that.
Yeah,
kind of vibe,
I think that Rodgers would be more than fine in it. Unfortunately, he was really good down the stretch. Like I went back, I watched the last 4 games, prepping for this free agency video that we have not been able to press record on yet because he's waiting this thing out. The last 4 games of the season, he was really good. Now he's misses more throws on the run. He's not running around as much, so he's not the same player. But man, he was still getting the ball out on time, throwing it down the field plenty enough where I think that he would be awesome still. He's probably more like the 15th best quarterback in the league instead of like 2, 3, 4. But man, like that's probably where Sam Darnold was last year. So yeah, I think that he would be very good if he did end up there.
Let's play the hypothetical. He lands with the Vikings here. Where should his ADP go? Would you rather have Trevor Lawrence or Aaron Rodgers?
I'll probably go T-Law. I just don't see Rodgers running enough. Not that like Sam Darnold was like going crazy as a runner, but yeah. And I think the other thing would like there is even if Rodgers signs there would still be some percentage chance that it just doesn't look right and they want to get McCarthy in there, like in a total disaster season. So yeah. And I think he's still probably going to end up on the Steelers. But this might take a little bit of time. Like if the Vikings are like, we'll get back to you, we want to see how McCarthy looks, and Rodgers is like, okay, then like why not? Why like this could hold out until near the draft.
The other super gal brain one is I can't remember what that date is with Atlanta where they mitigate the cap hit for Kirk Cousins. So they've already mitigated the future cap, and then they've already paid him like whatever the 10 mil guarantee or whatever it was for this year. That now they do a please take this contract from us, give us a 7th round pick or whatever.
That's going to happen. I think that's going to happen after the draft because Kirk Cousins has a no trade clause and he doesn't want to get Michael Penix again. So I think Kirk Cousins is going to go to the team that looks the worst after the draft happens.
Oh, I like that take. Yeah. I noticed in your initial run of rankings that Tyreek Hill is considerably lower for you. I'm in lockstep with you there. Who in this range intrigues you? I would have said JSN like a couple weeks back, but does the Darnold stuff scare you? Who do you like?
I'll go Josh Jacobs. He was a top 10 overall player.
Yeah, baby. We're running it back.
Why not?
We were the only 2 guys on planet Earth, me, you, and Nez, linking arms together, drafting Josh Jacobs over and over again in last year's BBM. Let's play the damn hits. What else do we like here, Hayden?
I like elite quarterback in this range. You can tell me on any of these wide receivers. Breece Hall and Kyron make me nervous, so it wouldn't be another running back. But I would go elite quarterback build, or I'd go with wide receiver. Your choice.
All right, let's go elite quarterback build there because it'll stem to a very interesting talking point that I floated the other day, and I noticed in your rankings as well. I do think, based on a lot of the Battle Royale data that we've been currently looking at behind closed doors, and a lot of just wrinkles in underdog scoring systems specifically, that the value of quarterback scoring and elite quarterback separation at the position is so much starker right now and in our game, in our contest, than maybe ever it has been before. Maybe you could go back like 6-7 years and talk about like, the naked rushing quarterbacks on redacted cash games or whatever. But I do think that it's inevitable by BBM season, the influx of casuals and the way we've suppressed the value of elite quarterback, that they will be risers, and rightfully so in my estimation. How do you feel just as a macro like theory?
Yeah, I've drafted elite quarterbacks every single year on Underdog, and the math is simple. compared to PPR, this is half PPR. So every other position is losing fantasy points versus the quarterbacks on full PPR sites. And then how I kind of look at this is I look at fantasy points over replacement, which is what is the quarterback 12 doing? What's the tight end 12 doing? What's the running back about 29, the wide receiver 40, once you adjust for the flex spot there. How many fantasy points is Jamar Chase playing over that replacement player versus Josh Allen versus the quarterback 12 on the year? And the elite quarterbacks tend to kind of come out as like 8th overall to about 15th overall in a given season. Now, every elite quarterback doesn't turn into an elite quarterback at the end of the year. There are some busts in there, but the top rated quarterbacks in a given season are top 15 overall picks. If you look at half PPR fantasy points over replacement. And I think the other thing is earlier on, I think that these guys are pretty stable, and there's going to be a lot of players at the round 2-3 turn that look like egregious picks once we get the NFL draft. Like Josh Allen's not losing his job. He's only just going to get better people around him. Where let's say it's JSN and they do draft Colston Loveland or they draft Matthew Golden at 18th overall. Like he only has an opportunity to like lose some stuff in the draft. So I think like earlier on, I would be more willing to play the hits. And like we talked about earlier on, all the rookies that go in the 17th, 18th, 19th round, like I would rather kind of save some bullets at the other positions versus at quarterback.
Dude, I love the take. I couldn't agree more. Right now, I think there's two things that you brought up there kind of inadvertently. I think a huge buzzword of our summer this year associated with draft games and BBM season is going to be VORP. It's going to be that value over replacement player that is a concept we talked about in the dailies a lot, but it hasn't been extrapolated on a macro in and intently researched in BBM season yet. And I do think that's a very big one. I think that's also going to come into play when people look at your Brock Bowers ranking and Pete's Brock Bowers ranking juxtaposed to, where he's actually going, which is only like, 4 or 5 spots different, but we know 4 or 5 spots at the top of the board there are so significant, right? Yeah,
I think it helps my overall draft rankings is the value over replacement. Like I can tell you for the last 5 years exactly where every single player was in value in fantasy points over replacement, usable weeks, all that type of stuff. But it's not just like the usable weeks; it's like how much are you separating? And people always say like, "Oh, the elite tight ends separate more than the elite quarterbacks." Like, not on any of the math I've looked at it on in half PPR. It's just harder for the elite tight ends to like really go crazy and I would say like the only big difference there is like the quarterback 15 is like not that dissimilar from the quarterback 12. So I think you can start poking some holes in there. But yeah, I just think that the elite quarterbacks has just been a little bit underrated, and especially earlier on in the season when we're like looking for any level of like confidence in draft picks. Like we know, is Josh Allen going to be a second round value or is he going to be a third, fourth round value? Like there's no way he's dropping beyond that.
Yeah, no, yeah, well put too. The other big outlier in that conversation is in the last couple, like 3-4 years, quarterback draft class was like 4 or 5 deep of guys that we could throw darts at. We could tell ourselves a story with, the Justin Fields of the world, the Trevor Lawrence of the world, just that's dating back, 3-4 years or whatever. But even like Trey Lance and stuff, we could tell ourselves a story. Jaden Daniels last year, we told ourselves that story, and he broke the slate in some regards. There broke the mold. This quarterback class doesn't have that, which should also push up, or we think doesn't have that. I shouldn't say definitively, but we should be pushing up, elite quarterback relative to the class as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think even just like look at last year. The example I kept saying is, why is Zay Flowers going ahead of Lamar Jackson? Like if Zay Flowers is worth the pick, what does that mean that Lamar Jackson did? Because we know what he's doing as a rusher. Like that never made sense to me. Like that just shows you how undervalued the elite quarterbacks were last year.
Yeah. All right. We are kind of in this awkward pocket where we can take the swing on Tet. We could start scrolling down to Waddle and Sutton and Addison. Metcalf, do you like?
I would go Tet, and then I think Kittle's pretty interesting still. And then those would be the ones I would be like really kind of looking at. with Kittle, like Debo's gone. That's at least some competition in the same area of the field. Kittle was still awesome last year. He's not that old. And the explosive plays were still there. Brandon Ayuk is like a huge question mark. Not only is he ready for week 1? Is he the same player? We're talking about a multi-ligament knee injury, and like last year, like wasn't the smoothest. Like he just makes me nervous, like as just like somebody like how well is his rehab going type of guy, just based off of how unprepared he was coming off the holdout last year. Like that makes me nervous. Like I think Ricky Pearsall is a fine player, but I don't see like a huge ceiling. Like, and the other big thing is the 49ers offense is changing in that they were at least willing to let Kyle Juszczyk leave. They were willing to let these other guys leave in the gadget world. They want to be like an actual like 3 wide receiver set passing offense. So I think that would help George Kittle out a little bit as well.
Cool. Yeah, well said there. What is he, 32, 33? You say he's not that old. He's kind of on that. Yeah.
I haven't seen the clip yet. I'll say that. Like, and I
Yeah.
think that the big thing with him, when he did have some down weeks or down months even, it was so just like the offense was so good and there were so many guys to get the ball to that all of a sudden like the target projection wasn't there. Well, if I think the team's going to pass a little bit more, if the defense isn't as good as it was in years past, and all the things they're just going to pass the ball more in general, and he still like looks like the same player on a per route basis, like all of a sudden I think the projection actually like swings back in his favor.
Cool. Yeah, I like it. Hayden, total sidebar derailing here. I gotta ask about hashtag the jacket. I used the picture. I used the picture on the thumb here. I did hear you say one time on stream, I think it was draft night companion stream there with Gruden and Colton, that stuff. And you were dressed up. You were dressed up. You were dressed to impress. Dressed for the job you want, not the one you have kind of vibes there with that one. Was it you who said it or your mom said it that you never know who's watching? You never know who's watching or whatever. I vividly remember that. So we got to talk about this fit, the jacket, dude. Where'd the jacket come from? And what's this vibe we got? Is this Daddy Hayden now?
Yeah, I mean, my jacket game is like completely evolved. I bought some new suits, like some big baggy suits. So the style it's coming back for your boy after like kind of punting it off in the 20s. So yeah, maybe it's dad just trying to look the part a little bit more. But yeah, like really like I was just like workout wear, sweats type of guy. And I'm kind of I just bought some loafers. I bought a new suit. I've got some nice jackets and stuff. So I'm stepping up the game a little bit. But the basics, we're going to Abercrombie 100%. And then the new guy that I'm following on Twitter is Dye Workwear.
Okay.
The guy's a legend. Like that's if you're like trying to like dress a little like fancy boy. So you only do that so often. But I'm learning the business of style out there. I think it's fun to dress up.
That's the evolution of the next chapter of my life here because as I was saying off the top of the show, I have a quiet protest right now where Nikki went through my closet and we basically had an agreement after the wedding. If I didn't lose X amount of pounds, she was just going to throw out or give away, a bunch of this stuff. And she basically took 80 articles of clothing out of there, and they're all just sitting by the front door right now, ready to.
It's the best thing that'll happen to you. Just reset, dude. I'm throwing away and giving away clothes all the time, man. It's like it's so worthwhile to like actually care about it a little bit. Yeah,
she reset up the closet when I was at hockey the other night, and she counted that. She said garbage T-shirts in quotes. I have 85 garbage T-shirts that are either Underdog, baseball, stupid sports puns, roto wear, daily, like this kind of stuff. And she was like, you have 85 of these. She's like, you're not even going to notice if I get rid of these, whatever.
I know it's hard to do, but man, like once I started pulling the Band-Aid off, anything with a logo, it's got to go at this point. If it's a shirt. So the good news,
no more graphic tees.
It's over. It's over. The good news for us, me and you, we're on the bigger boys side here. Baggy clothes are in. Like that's all I was hoping for. Like enough of the skinny jeans. Like if you're wearing skinny jeans, you just don't know ball anymore. We're wearing baggy clothes, and that's good for us. This is the era that we were hoping for. Is we can go a little bit a streetwear and baggy clothes. Like man, like this is it's actually it's perfect for us.
2008 Antoine Walker oversized suits to every Celtics game. That's
Yep.
what we're going with.
The guys that I love to just keep an eye out for is YG's style is hilariously awesome, and then Jack Harlow. Like those two guys, like I'm just
Oh
always just
yeah.
keeping eyes on those guys. Most of it looks ridiculous, but it's a good era for us to care about style because it's not like just showing off like our big boobs and stuff. Like we can wear a little bagginess and we can actually look the part.
I love it, dude. Oh man. All right, we're kind of in this little sweet pocket of the draft where we were talking about a rookie wide receiver's name who I'm not going to mention again here. Actually, he may have gone already.
Yeah, I'd be curious where he's going. It's another turn for us.
Oh,
Oh
here
man. Yeah,
we
we
got
got
a
a good
little.
pocket. Got
Yeah,
a
we
good
got a little
pocket.
pocket of these the Dusty Olds running backs, and then kind of like this grouping here. Um,
Yeah, I would say one of the running backs. I would think I would go Connor
okay.
the most. They just love Connor. Like he's like a legit team captain, and
Mhm. And
when
he
their
just got the
offense is going,
bag too.
yeah, he just got the bag. I think it'll still be him. And then I like Emeka. Yeah,
Yeah. So that was the name I was refraining from saying just to see because we were talking about it previously, and you said you liked him over this kind of like Pearsall.
yeah,
The Ayuk timeline scares us a little bit. Um,
yeah. This
where do
one's
you?
gonna be a layup.
Okay, cool. Where do you currently have him? Ranked amongst rookie wide receivers, and where do you currently have a potential mocked landing spot? He's like back end first round guy, kind of in that golden tier.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right range for him. In my top, like my upcoming big board, like the top overall players, he sits at 19th overall. He's my wide receiver 3, and that includes with Hunter as a wide receiver. So it's him,
Ooh,
Ted, and
okay.
then Emeka, and then I think Matthew Golden's right in that range too. Um, he's like he's a slot wide receiver, I guess, but he's like more than that. It's kind of just like the Robert Woods, Cooper Cup types where like they're so physical and they're asked to do so much that they're going to stay on the field in 2 wide receiver sets a ton. And then if he runs 4-3, the buzz is going to go crazy. Like to me, that's
Mhm.
the thing. Like, yeah, I
So
think
he
everybody's kind of expecting him to be like a 4-5 guy. If he runs 4.38 at this pro day, like get ready. It's going to be
okay.
full party. And Daniel Jeremiah, every single podcast I listen to that he says, it's the thing he says. And on top of that, everyone loves the character and stuff. So like to me, it's like he's going round 1. Could he go as high as 12 to the Cowboys? I think it's possible. I think probably more likely scenario is like around the Chargers spot, the Steelers, like that kind of range. We'll see. But yeah, I think that he's like a borderline top 20 player.
Okay, cool. That's a lot of fun. That's a fun little profile there that you illustrated for us. I do think we do have like we latch on, and this is not football specific. It is any sport on Underdog specific, and you even see it reflected in projection models every single day, where we latch on to like the newest and biggest and what just took place, and they skyrocket in a draft room because of it. Because it's like it's so much more fun after I've been drafting hoops all day that all of a sudden we get 2 rule outs at the end, and we have a guy who's projected for 30 fantasy points. And so is this other guy I've been drafting all day for 30 fantasy points. But now we're just going to jam the new guy, right?
Yep.
And
Oh
this
yeah.
this kind of vibe with it, I feel that that's like the golden thing post combine, where it was like, oh shit, baby, here we go. Like, this is the Xavier Worthy treatment 2.0 we're looking for. Vault them up, that sort of thing. And then you just take a step back and you go like, yeah, man, America didn't even run. So
Yep.
like, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's totally fair. With the golden, like that was the one of the times at the combine when I was like, oh, I was just like straight up not expecting that. Like I
Right.
thought he was
Yeah.
4.45 or whatever, and I was fine with that. And then like he runs 4.2, and you're like, well, that's I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting that. That has to matter a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think there will be a pro day bump from Emeka. You know that the stopwatch is going a little bit faster down there, so I would not be surprised if that number comes at 4.3 something. And then
Yeah.
he caught the
People
most passes in Ohio State history, like history.
Wow. And
Like that's
and
got to
look
mean
at the
something.
receivers who have come out of Ohio State in the last 10 years. Like, I mean, not I mean, I elongated the timeline just so we could get Michael Thomas in there as well. But even within like the last couple years with JSN, Olave, Garrett Wilson, etc. Right?
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison Jr. It's just it's crazy.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah, that's wow. That's some good context there. I didn't realize that he got the most balls.
Yeah,
I'm looking right now.
he
81
averaged,
in 16 games, 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns.
and that's with a alien freshman. You know, like there's still tons of target competition in that offense. But back in look at 2022 with Stroud, he averaged 90 yards per game. Like that's incredible
Wow.
stuff. You know, like that's tough to do. So he's done it with Stroud. He's done it with worse quarterbacks, and yeah, he's just ready to play. Like I don't think he's that much different than JSN. So I think that's draft capital wise. I think it'll be very similar to JSN. I think the type of player is very similar, and I think that Emeka is going to end up being a little bit faster, JSN a little bit better in the ball skills department, and I think there was a lot of hype for JSN.
We should have the Cowboys conversation as you projected as a potential landing spot there, or could be whatever. Would this diminish your outlook? Like just hypothetically speaking, if that was a landing spot, does this diminish your outlook on CeeDee Lamb? Because we've talked about CeeDee Lamb over the years and the value of him being able to move over all around the formation. And CeeDee Lamb's slot has been a narrative for us the last couple of years. There, would this be a hindrance, or is it just like, oh, they'll figure it out? Offense, go Burr.
Yeah, I think they'll probably just figure it out. I'll say with the Cowboys defense, like they're not that good. You know, like they got Micah for now. And yeah, I mean Diggs is going to be out this year at corner. They just lost a lot of guys. They re-signed Osa, but they're just not a very good defense. And yeah, I don't think Emeka is so good that I would be like knocking CeeDee Lamb's projections off too much.
Yeah. Just top of
They're a
mind
weird
thought.
team, man. They're a weird team. I think they can get spicy in this draft. I don't know if it's like trade Micah, draft a quarterback early, but like of all the teams to do something like eye popping, I would say the Cowboys are ripe to do something spicy. They feel weird right now.
Yeah, they do feel odd. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Man, I thought they should have brought back Rico too.
I couldn't believe it. That pissed me
yeah,
off. What else?
yeah,
What else do you want him to do more than what he did last year?
right. Yeah,
I mean, come on.
and like we were at Dog Bowl there. Oh, well, let's make these picks here. Quarterbacks continue to fall, which is kind of evergreen here. I don't think we want to double up after doing the Josh Allen thing, but maybe you feel differently. We got kind of a sweet spot for running back, but I think if I scroll a little bit, I might be able to
Let's do that.
Dangle a carrot in front of your eyes.
Let's
here.
do that. Yeah, let's do that right there. I like Travis Hunter here. And then I think you can sell me on Brock Purdy and be done at quarterback with George Kittle. The research that I've done for like double quarterbacks, like if you draft an elite one, when's the earliest you want to draft the next one, and this is kind of the tier. Now, like he has to actually hit, but there's none of you like Rashid Shaheed, Pacheco, like these guys. There's not a good click right here, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. I have seen a little bit of steam about Travis Etienne and people just kind of wish casting that back into our lives. But yeah, that's not really one for me yet. I will ask that, some of that research and talking about the two quarterbacks, the fact that, big board and these contests are 20 rounds juxtaposed to 18. Does that matter to you at all in terms of like, 3 quarterback builds or 2 quarterback builds?
Yeah, I think definitely so because like the research, like it's pretty much like a 50-50 proposition in 18 rounds. If you go 2 or 3 quarterbacks, it's like legitimately like pretty much a toss up on all the research I've done. That is probably goes to 3 quarterbacks. We do get a little bit different here that will probably go with 2 because the draft capital that we spent, even though we go to 20 rounds and we'll take some more bullets. But I think it was also based off our build. We had 2 backs, we had a tight end, and we had 4 wide receivers. Like this 9th round selection was going to be kind of a depth spot no matter what. So as long as we, for the rest of the draft, keep that in mind, I think that going quarterback there is like as early as I would like justifiably draft the second quarterback, and we did for correlation purposes.
I like it, man. This is a very Hayden and John team thus far to have like 2 dusty running backs that nobody else believes in, but we're like hashtag follow the money. And then we got a whole bunch of fun rookie steam shot wide receivers juxtaposed to our anchor Chase, live and die by Chase on this team. And
Yeah.
then, not discrediting the onesies positions by also addressing them early in the draft. It's a pretty balanced one thus far.
Yeah, and the fun thing with Josh Allen is you can get some really cheap correlation as we continue on. Like, what Kincaid would be at the next turn, or the next one
Yeah.
after that is kind of the decision. So we got Josh Palmer later on too. So there's at least a way to get Josh Allen stacked. And then the other thing, Josh Allen scores so much rushing production that, like, I'm totally okay if we don't end up connecting all the dots there. Like, think about like how many bust the Josh Allen teams had to go with. Like last year, if you only just drafted Josh Allen, you would have came all right. If you paired him with Kincaid, you're down. Samuel, you're down. Who else was being drafted? Shakir was like the only one.
Okay.
And he was okay. He was okay. Like, I'm sure the other wide receivers around him were just as good. So like to me, it was fine.
The best stack would have been him plus Cook early, and it had nothing to do with the correlation. It just had to do with the offense go burn, rushing touchdowns galore. But like, I don't. That's not something I want to like reinvest in on like a guy who plays 56% of the snaps in a rotating backfield, who gets worked over by Ty Johnson when it comes to receiving work, and then be like, oh yeah, we're just betting on these long outlier rushes and then him usurping some of those goal line touchdowns from Josh Allen.
I think with another year with the offensive coordinator and Joe Brady over there, we know that this offense is going to be designed to spread the ball around. So like, we're not expecting anybody to have 1,400 yards in 10 touchdowns in this offense. So I think like of the elite quarterbacks, like which one are you feeling okay? It just kind of just going raw with it. I think it would be Josh Allen be at the very top of that list.
Yeah. It's interesting how like you can get things wrong and still get them right, because last year we kind of, not we, but like we as a community kind of waved what Joe Brady did at the tail end of last year, or the tail end of the previous year. And they came in and they were skewed so run heavy. They were heavy rotational. And then everybody was like, no, that was just because he couldn't implement his offense. Like, don't worry, they're going to come out. They're going to YOLO ball it up. Josh Allen's got to, do it all with his arm and his legs. Then the following year, and then it was like, no, actually, we're just going to run back the same fucking offense. And you definitely had some outlier games where they were forced into like big time throwing scripts. Like I think about the Dog Bowl, like Rams game.
Oh yeah,
there, like that was a lot of fun. But like outside of that, it was like, no, if we get up early, like we're just gonna pound. Like
yep. And they were they're just so good in success rate. Like they were like what, number 1 or number 2 in success rate, that their style offense it didn't make sense going into the season, but like once you got enough data, it was like, oh yeah, this offense is very difficult to beat because they can win in so many different ways.
Yeah. I think that I got a fun question, but I'm gonna save it till we make this draft pick. I keep seeing Tucker Kraft, and then damn it, son of a
that would have been the perfect pick.
Yeah, that would have been the perfect little ceiling shot behind for us here. I think we got to stick with the yellow or the green on this one.
I like Diggs.
Okay.
Yeah, I think with these free agent players, like most of them go up after they sign. Like I would say if you're playing the 50-50 game, most likely he will go earlier. Especially if he goes to New England, there's not a lot of target competition. We feel good about May. I think like that would be somebody that would make sense. Man, these ones are tough.
Tootin?
I don't think he's gonna get enough touches. That's my problem with him.
All right.
Could you scroll down a little bit? Let's see if there's another name.
Oh yes, buddy. You talked about Neil earlier. What do we think about Neil?
He's all right. I'll go back to the very top. I'm changing my mind. Let's go Tank.
All right. Bet on the
feel
other
good about
side
Liam.
Of that.
He'll be a part of the offense to some degree. He's got contingent value, and I think he's got a chance to usurp the job. Who knows?
If we look at Liam Cohen's traditional usage or historical usage of backfields, he was heavy rotating, even when he had guys that looked like they could be like, number ones by themselves. Bucky at the tail end of last year, etc. They were still mixing and matching, even when guys went down. Like they found touches for Sean Tucker, etc. So.
And even going back to like, he had a season at Kentucky with Will Levis, and that team was pretty balanced in general. So I think like the volume of runs and designed touches will be there. I think Ray Davis was more of a bell cow that season, but I think he got like a shit ton of touches just because there's a lot of opportunity in the backfield. I just really trust Liam Cohen's design, and they at least like solved some of their issues on the offensive line with their free agency moves. Not like the sexiest names brought in, but enough to at least solidify this going into the draft. And I don't see them spending a high pick on a running back. So they have too many other big needs. Like wide receiver room's a mess, defensive tackle spots a mess. Their secondary was really bad last year. They can obviously improve the offensive line still. Like I don't think they love Tank or ETN, but I don't think that's their biggest problem right now.
Okay. Yeah, no, perfectly articulated and laid out there. The couple names that were popping up in this, we already had the Loveland and Scatterbo convos. Let's talk about the Stephon Diggs one there, because obviously the news came through the timeline that he was going to visit with the Patriots there. I had a tongue-in-cheek little quote tweet after that one that was the equivalent of the 2 a.m. you up text after striking out at the bar for both teams, really, because I don't think that would be first on Diggs's list. And I don't think that, it was obviously not first on the Patriots list when they tried to throw money at multiple targets, most notably Chris Godwin there. What's a good, landing spot for Diggs? Is that the spot? Timeline with the knee injury and that sort of thing. Will he be on track?
Yeah, I would say he's probably maybe on track for week 1 and stuff, but they'll slow play it. I think he'll probably sign a 2-year deal just because the wide receiver market's so bad out there that he can still justify it. He's not super old either, and the Patriots are so desperate. And there was a couple connections. I saw this on Twitter yesterday. Todd Downing's the Patriots tight end coach right now. He was with the Vikings when Diggs was there, and then also Josh Angel's brother was the wide receiver coach in Houston last year. So there's like some weird familiarity.
Alpha. That's the alpha we needed.
These people that know this it's insane. So yeah, I think Diggs to the Patriots does make some sense to me. Now, I don't think he's a big difference maker, but he's better than what they got.
Sounds good. Our friend Josh Norris rolling through. What up, Josh? Staying high. I was half expecting him to roll through and tell you, yo, Hayden, we're recording in 10, man. Like, where are you?
We're recording 18 minutes ago, but I said priorities. I got to go hang out with John. We got today we're doing RJ Harvey and DJ Giddens. So we'll get to those names here in a second, but those are the next recordings.
All right. With a little sneak peek of the program there. And there's another one who still hasn't signed yet that I'm kind of like a little more bullish on than the community is right now in Keenan Allen. Like, I think he still has a little bit of juice, displayed it last year. I
can already tell based off his tweet that he loves RJ Harvey. So I think we might go to war. We'll see.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Yeah, I like the wrinkle that you guys have added this year, or not like combative in any regard, but just coming in blind with one another and not sharing notes first. I do think it adds a nice little wrinkle of, because I mean, I did notice it in your guys' programming, and I did say it to Josh when we were at the Dog Bowl last year that, later as the season progressed, like you guys did start going a little sandpaper at one another with a couple of the takes as the season went on there.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. Like as a listener, it's like, you guys are both so well-spoken, so professional, so intelligent that it's also good to disagree, because you can do it in a controlled manner without just screaming at each other.
Yeah, I'll also say probably sleeping about 2 hours a night was probably adding to my my fury during that part of the season. But yeah, it is nice because like if we share the same notes on a player, like my confidence goes like really high. Like this is exactly what the player is. And then if we disagree with it, I think the audience can kind of like see who had the better take there, or just know that the range of outcomes on this player is really wide. So I think even just a sample size of 2, if the other person's doing the work, that you can actually glean something from it.
Yeah. And you could trust that both you guys are doing the work. I mean, even Norris at the Dog Bowl doesn't take any time off. Him and producer Weaves are upstairs grinding tape from games immediately. All right. Neil's still on the board for us. Benson's a handcuck. Rico landing spot's not great.
To me, I think Higgins We wouldn't get him on the next turn. I would be okay with him here.
Absolutely.
And then we could take a flyer on one of the tight ends up top. I'm not opposed to either one of those.
Yeah. So what do you like the prospects of more? Dallas Goedert potentially getting traded and or contingent value in that offense, or Mark Andrews being a cut candidate, Isaiah Likely, Gober. What's more appealing?
Oh, man. I think I would go with. That's tough.
That
Let's
is
go
tough.
Likely. Let's go Likely.
Okay.
I don't see Goddard. If he gets traded, I would say it's most likely a downgrade for him. And if Mark Andrews gets traded, then Likely is what, the tight end 6. Like, that's not saying a whole lot, right? But like, he would go 4 rounds earlier. I don't know.
Yeah, I would take him over. I
I mean, he's
think
right in there. Like,
yeah, he's right up here. He might just
go
straight
over
up
Marcus,
switch spots with Mark. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's probably worthwhile. And then, yeah, I think there's also some odds, even if Mark stays on the team, that he just gets Wally pipped.
Right. Yeah. And I thought he was getting Wally pipped. He was my highest owned tight end last year, and the
you
infamous,
were so close. You were so close to hitting the nuts.
The infamous screenshot with me with my shirt off over my head at the ship chasing party there was after his second touchdown on the opening night there that ended up getting called back, and I was like, we're fucking rich, man. We're gonna win the primetime Palooza slate. We're gonna win BBM. It's Jover, boys. And they're actually accurate. Damn it.
You were so close. Yeah.
So close.
He's a good player, which is like, I think at this point, searching for a little bit of upside there will make some sense. And then if we felt really bad about our running back or wide receiver room, like, you probably could get away with 2 tight ends. I think we're most likely a 3 tight end build here. But
yeah,
I think we're at least on the fringe of that discussion.
Yeah, I think just given that these drafts are 20 rounds, and we're only going to have 2 quarterbacks on this team, unless we took like a Cam Ward with our last pick or something crazy like that. Not crazy, but like just something like that as a tack on. I do think this is probably 3 tight end.
Yeah,
no
for
matter
sure.
what.
Our wide receiver room is hilarious right now. It's all uncertainty aside from Chase.
It's straight variance. Like, I mean, this is kind of like going back to our macro conversation that we had half an hour ago, where it's just kind of like, why not? Right? Like the ceiling output like of guys who can vault, 20 picks in ADP after the draft. Like, I'm sorry, Jalen Coker's not vaulting 20 picks in ADP. Like, you can look at whomever else's. Let's look at some other names that were like around it. Like Ricky Pearsall, even if we got bearish Ayuk news, he's not vaulting 20 spots, right?
Yeah. I don't really see it.
Yeah.
Why is Pearsall going ahead of freaking Brock Purdy? That would be my question. Like, Brock Purdy's been a top 8-ish fantasy quarterback for a couple of seasons. Like,
that's therein lies your Zay Flowers versus Lamar from last year on a scaled down level deeper in the draft.
Yeah. They just have so many guys to throw the ball to. Like, he can easily be the 4th guy in touches this year. Like, is he going to outproduce the top 8 quarterback? I'm less sure about that stuff.
Yeah, one game to end the season there where he went nuke, and it literally moved his ADP 5 rounds.
Yeah, definitely so. Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that he's really good. So I don't want to rule him out, but I saw him more as a 45th overall slot only type coming out of the draft.
I mean, he did get they traded up to take him and spend good capital on him. Definitely. That being said, with the track record of the 49ers trading up for picks to take guys, not great. Not great, right?
Right. Yeah. What's the stance on CMC?
Like just in a vacuum?
Yeah, for you.
I mean, I think it's a very palatable price tag right now. I think Jordan Mason moving on helps. I think Garendo can play. But Garendo also coming back from injury, like got shut down for the year there too. I think he's appropriately priced right now. And as BBM season approaches and pushes forth, if they don't address it, even with like a day 3 guy, something like that. I think he'll be a 1-2 turn guy.
Yeah.
I think people just want to see it first. They're just it's classic I got burned last year, don't want to touch the stove too soon again and embrace that risk. But there's a non-zero chance by the end of BBM that we're taking him as like RB6 or RB5,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
pending Genty's landing spot, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Genty
Yeah.
could be the guy that vaults him, but I don't know. Like, what if he turns into CMC again? Like, that's
right.
We're playing for upside here, and he's certainly got a ton of it. So I think he's gonna be one of the most debated guys, just coming off of last year. And if he's healthy, man, like,
yeah,
he can smoke Drake London. And
I was
like add 100 fantasy points to Drake London. Like that's easily possible.
I love how our eyes went to the exact same player there, where it was just like, we wish casted the tempo in that offense last year, and we overprojected what Cousins could do from a ceiling output, and then now we're just going back to the well all over again, where you have maybe arguably the greatest running back to ever live, question mark. I mean, people fight me to the death on that, but his peak, juxtapose CMC's peak to anyone's peak, and it was top 15 all time.
It's insane.
All right, we can have the Harvey conversation here before you guys record. If we like it here, we could do a little Ray Davis correlation. We could take the Amari Cooper. It's kind of scary that he hasn't signed yet.
I'm okay. Wright? I'm okay with Wright or Davis. I think either one of those guys would be good.
I would say in a vacuum, I prefer Wright. I think it's interesting that they signed Madison. I don't think it really impedes that much. I thought Wright looked good last year, and the size speed, I mean, it was very limited. Let's make this next pick, and then we can talk about the conversation after.
I like Algier. I guess you can do Garenda because we have some correlation there, but I feel like I want CMC healthy for the rest of those guys, to be honest.
Okay.
Let's go Algier. I like chopping off first round picks. If Algier is good, that means Bijan team's been eliminated. So like I like to chop a first round team off, Yeah,
that's good. That's a good shout. Like just in terms of like the meta for how this roster gets home is we also kill, Big Funk Master,
gone,
his team as well.
Done
bud. Yeah, the interesting, like the Ray Davis between Jalen Wright is probably like so close, and we're both contingent bets there. I do think it's bullish that they used Ray Davis at the goal line like immediately in a playoff game when he was the guy who was questionable going into that game, and the other guy had scored the most touchdowns rushing in the NFL that year, and they were just like, oh yeah, Ray Davis. So I do think that's like just like one little anecdote in the back of my mind that I remain bullish on. I think in terms of correlation, put him in there. But dude, I think Jalen Wright, Blake Corum, a couple of these guys right now are a little underpriced in terms of like their in terms of like contingent ceiling.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think with Ray Davis and Algier, those are big boys. If they are the starter, they can handle 20 touches, and I just kind of like how we've seen it with those guys, that archetype. We've seen Algier, be like a top 15 guy. So yeah, we got big dog issues over there up top. So I'll carry us from here. I'm not going to spoil anything with DJ Giddens or RJ Harvey. We got a video coming up on them. Okay, what about see, like to me, this is like where the DeAndre Hopkins pick. This is probably too early to me. Was he getting drafted this high just like last week? Probably not.
No, this is a pure landing spot one, but it happened in our other draft too. And Pete and I instantly talked about it because we were like, man, he literally had the nut outcome last year in terms of like where, in terms of opportunity, in terms of offense, in terms of role, and he fell flat on his face and didn't even matter in Super Bowl kind of thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I'd rather that. I guess we forgot about Joshua Palmer for a hot second there because of because of the correlation pattern there. But like, I'd prefer Joshua Palmer than Hopkins there.
Yeah, I would say for sure. I think they're actually kind of low key banking on Palmer, meaning something down the field. Like they just don't have a down the field guy right now, and that's theoretically where he's kind of at his best. So Yeah, I think that Palmer would have been a fine pick there, but his ADP I think was low enough where you probably are okay trying to push it around there. He's not like the
Yeah.
sexiest name either that he could have easily slipped by.
Mhm. Is this true, T-Bear saying that Hopkins needed knee surgery after the season?
Is that a bull case or is that a bear? How is that?
Yeah.
I feel like that's he had to have knee surgery. Now we tack it on. Like I think either way, it's just
Right.
not good.
Yeah. Hopkins a Hall of Famer though, right?
Uh, yeah, maybe so. He's really
Fringe?
damn good. I mean, his
Yeah.
3 or 4 year peak there was pretty damn special, and he did it in
Yeah.
such a weird, like unique way, like just ball skills and route running. I like not crazy athleticism.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were kind of spoiled with that window of him, AJ Green,
Oh yeah.
Julio Jones,
Oh yeah.
etc. Like
I
the
told Josh this the other day. DeAndre Hopkins, like maybe my all time favorite NFL player. Like,
nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was
Like
such a
peak.
monster for so long.
Yeah. Peak DeAndre Hopkins.
And then the PEDs, he's no longer on PEDs. Put that in your model.
Nice. Yeah, I actually that's one that I opted to forget in my model when getting overweight Fernando Tatis Jr. so far this season here. I haven't thought about that, the PED factor there.
Yeah, I'm sure it matters.
Mhm. Let the kids sauce. Hey, let the kids on the sauce here. Um, all right, we're getting into that portion of the draft where I'm going to be almost solely deferring to you for some scrolls, some fun
Yep.
clicks,
Sweet.
etc. As you can see, we're working off ADP opposed to rankings right now because I did think I uploaded yours early and then I was like, oh, I think Hayden wants to adjust some of these since
For
then, like
sure.
the ones that are on Underdog Network right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely so.
Um,
Okay, so we need a tight end.
yeah.
We probably need another back and a pair of receivers, right?
Yeah, that's how I would round this out. 2683, is that right?
We
And then
have
one luxury pick?
Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, we can do anything at this turn here. Best
Yeah.
player available, as the kids say.
Best player available. What do we think about some of these rookies here that I have no idea about?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is the tier of players where I haven't gotten eyeballs. I watched Restrepo. He's a slot guy. I think he's all right.
Mhm.
Go to just the tight ends just to see where we're looking at with these guys.
Well, your boy is
Um,
buried at like,
yeah,
tight
we'll
end
wait.
40
Yeah, okay,
whatever.
good, good,
Yeah.
good, good. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go receiver. Oh man, none of these guys are looking great.
What about Tiami in the new landing spot?
Yeah,
Is that
let's do
fun?
that. Why not?
Is that better than Gabe? I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever you get a new staff in there and they're saying, here's $10 million, I want to pay attention.
Yeah. I agree with that. And he looked good in the postseason too. I don't know anything about Ollie Gordon.
Not my favorite so far. Same thing with
Okay.
Damian Martinez, not my favorite.
Okay.
Yoshi
Yoshi
Voss,
Voss.
yeah, like I mean he was in the mix. Slayton's in the mix. I think Slayton's
Wait.
I mean if they get Rodgers, I think like he would go up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they did choose to sign him and re-sign him like almost instantaneously,
Yeah.
which is kind of just like I feel like we've been doing the Slayton dance for years now.
He's due for 1 20-point game, 3 17-point games, and then a bunch of nothing. It's like we're not
Mhm.
going to take down the big board here because of this, but he's
Yeah.
he's in the mix. He's added some fantasy points every single year.
Yeah.
And I think if Rodgers does sign there, or even Russ, like Russ throws the ball downfield, that's where Slayton makes some plays. Like it's better than whatever the hell they've been trotting out the last couple of years, even if it is Russ.
Yeah, that is anything is an upgrade at this point, right?
Definitely.
Tommy Cutlets ain't it?
Unfortunately not.
Man, these names they fall off a cliff in a second here.
LaQuint Allen is somebody that's popping in the spreadsheets.
It has nothing to do with the hat you're wearing. Is that
No,
am I right about that or no?
He's a Syracuse guy.
Oh, okay,
We've
okay.
had Buck Allen though. We've had some Allens,
Yeah,
Marcus
okay.
Allens. We got some famous Allens. Yeah. Who else is over here? Oh man, it's so bleak out here. I mean,
Mhm.
some of these dusty wide receivers, like MVS is at least going to be on the field, I think.
Yeah,
Oh, it's so bad. Nick
it
Westbrook
is.
Akini is going to be on the field. Scroll. Is this the very top of the list? Please tell me no. Okay.
No,
Okay.
no,
We
no.
got some
We still
names. I was
got
like, oh
but,
my
I
God.
mean, the top of the list
It's
is,
bad.
yeah, like, after after Adams signed and Tutu Atwell re-signed, like, can we just
Yeah,
take Jordan Whittington out now? Like,
pretty much.
yeah, like, it's incredibly fluid down here with these names that I just kinda play whack-a-mole with.
Is Elijah Mitchell, is that a fish take or was he just injured and he's got a chance to be a Chiefs back in the mix? Like he's been fantasy relevant. Like,
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. He's also younger than people
oh yeah.
realize.
Yeah.
Yeah,
First, first
he's
real
only like
contract.
yeah. So yeah, first real contract. Yeah. So it's like I think in everybody's mind because we just did the rope a dope dance with him as a handcuff for like so long, and then the playoff contests where people were
Hmm.
like, we got to get Galbrainy in the gauntlet by
Hmm.
adding on a Niners back or whatever, and then him falling, not to no fault of his own. He's playing
He
behind
got hurt.
CMC. Yeah,
Yeah.
he got hurt and he's playing behind CMC, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just like people would be like, "Oh, it's fatigue with the pick, right?" Where it's like people just don't want to click it right now.
Yep. Yeah. I think very similar to like the Blake Corum stuff. It's like, oh, he was so bad last year. Or was it just that Kyron stayed healthy and then Corum
Right.
just didn't get touches? Like, was he
Yeah.
bad or just didn't get on the field because they had Kyron? Like, I don't know.
Okay, like look what they did with the corpse of Kareem Hunt coming off the street,
So
averaging
bad, man.
whatever, like 3 yards a touch. Like it was
So bad.
bad to watch. And then he just ends up scoring like whatever 8 touchdowns and mattering. I just pulled that
Yeah.
number out of my ass. I don't know if it's actually
It sounds about
accurate,
right.
but it felt like it, right? Like and he had
Yeah.
two or three multi-touchdown weeks there. And like
Yeah.
all of a sudden he's a top 20 running back in our scoring format and getting drafted in the dailies every week. And
Yeah.
it's just kind of like if the offense hums and they still use a back at the goal line there, and they just got rid of, I mean, they could still bring back Hunt, but Hunt and P Ryan out the door.
I mean,
Pacheco hasn't
Hunt
lived
being back does not scare me at all. Like
right.
he's so cooked. There's no way they can use him. Pacheco,
Mhm.
I'm not bullish on at all.
He looked bad, man. He looked and
Yeah.
like the carries tapered off in a big way down the stretch there. I mean, the
Yeah.
injury he came back from was similar to the Tony Pollard one, right?
Hmm.
Where
Yep.
it was like, we looked at Tony Pollard. I mean, we as a community looked at
Hmm.
Tony Pollard when he came back and was like, "Oh, this ain't the same guy." And then
Hmm.
he found it the following year. So I do
Yep.
leave the light on that, maybe Pacheco finds it again, but yeah,
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. He's also just his vision's bad. He's just like not a trusted guy that
Mhm.
if the athleticism does go, then it's like, what exactly do you do here? So like that's the nervous thing. And then I do think the Chiefs could go back in the draft early, and so that would really complicate things. But
Yeah.
I do hear you that like if he just returns back to health, he was like he had some top 15 running back love. Like
Right.
if he is for sure healthy and he is the lead back, so
Mhm.
never know.
I gotta ask you one of the backup and hashtag team follow the money questions here. Like we think the Vikings are going to be a good football team, and we trust KOC. They obviously bring back Aaron Jones, but I was really surprised by the amount of money Jordan Mason got
Hmm.
and the guarantees he got.
Hmm.
He only has like 3 less million guaranteed, and Aaron Jones's contract is back weighted in that 2 year one. He got 2 years that were balanced and the guarantee up front. I don't know. I don't know if I'm reading between the lines and just enamored with what we got out of Jordan Mason last year, but that one seems kind of like a more bullish version of Ty Chandler from last year. I think people
Yeah,
are fatigued getting burned by Vikings insert backup back. I think Jordan Mason can play a little bit.
Mason's much better than Ty Chandler for my money, and there's like some familiarity between that tree. So I think that they just didn't like the 49ers didn't want that type of rusher. I think Grendo is kind of their vision for that. And then Jordan Mason offers a more physical approach than what Aaron Jones does. So I think it allows them to get Jones back into the 15 touches versus the 21 touches per game. So I think it's a good signing for him. And I think that Mason's got a ton of contingent potential. And then the offensive line looks much better. So yeah, he's probably somebody that we should have talked about earlier. He's a good player.
Mitchell goes right in front of us, so we no longer have that decision there. We could scroll the F down. Shipley, we like Shipley.
Yeah, no Kenneth Gainwell. I think that was on purpose. He was earlier on at Clemson. He was getting the rock a ton, and
he showed some juice in the postseason too.
Yeah,
he finally got in.
He did. Yeah, I think that. I mean, Saquon Barkley has to be at the very top of your list of players that most likely to get injured because he touches the ball the most.
Like it. Okay, everybody else is going to click Aurora right here. Are we going to be the guys who click Terrence Ferguson instead?
Mason Taylor's probably going to go well ahead of him.
Okay.
Would we go fourth tight end? Is that crazy?
Probably a little crazy. Yeah. But
okay, is there a back? Yeah, I think let's go Taylor and let's make our fourth wide receiver decision.
Okay, sounds good.
We're good at
I just wanted to get spicy. Right? I just get excited when you throw a name out early in the show. I just get excited to just keep scrolling. You know.
Yeah, what Mason Taylor's his ADP is at 236. Like his drafted rate is still what 10%, 20%. I mean, it's close, pretty a little higher than that.
A little higher than that in the 20 persons when you adjust for position, like more 3 tight end builds, more 4 tight end builds. I think you would be correct at projecting ownership if it was BBM. I think in big board, it would skew closer to like the 30-ish range.
Okay. That's still pretty solid though. Yeah, I think it's pretty much a toss up. Like Mason Taylor at sub 50% ownership, he projects better than Ferguson, but I think Ferguson Ferguson versus Burner, who's a blocker. I mean, come on. Taysom's not even going to play this year.
Yeah. That's a shame. Yeah. We finally got him at tight end. I was going to be overweight all over again. Remember when we ran the weekly winners show? Yeah. The very first ever weekly winners show. And I was like, boom, we're just going ISO on Justin Fields and ISO on Taysom Hill. That shit would have slapped this year.
What about, okay, let's go to quarterback real quick. Just because I just wanted curious. So Milroe does pretty much go undrafted.
Yes. Milroe, right? If people go rookie quarterback in the last round or last 2 rounds, it's usually Jackson Dart. And then I don't even think I've seen Milroe get drafted. I maybe a couple streams that I've watched. Admittedly, I haven't done a ton of big boards yet, so I'm kind of back waiting. So yeah.
If I told you Milroe goes the early 3rd round to the Browns, he's projected for 4-5 starts, back weighted to the season, and he's the best rushing quarterback in the league. Does he become draftable? Yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at. Yeah,
I mean, yeah. You're kind of telling me the narrative that people spun last year for Sam Howell.
He's much better than Sam
taking over Geno. Like no, just narrative based. Not comparing profiles or players at all, but like the narrative being like he's going to take over that job. He's going to run and be fantasy friendly on a bad offense for the last like 4 weeks of the season. Because in theory, if he gets in there, it's because the Browns were bad, right? Like
for sure. Yeah, he's one of these guys that I know everyone loves the person, and he's like the rarest of rare athletes at the position where like I can see a team saying, you know what, fuck it. Let's try it. Day 2. Yeah. So yeah, he's interesting. Kirk Cousins and I think Russell Wilson are going to probably start a lot of games this year. Like count to 32. Like those guys to me, like this would be, it's Kirk Cousins and Russ, and those guys are starting. That's starting quarterbacks this late versus like the Galaxy brain rookies that we're going with. It's probably the best move.
Yeah, even when we allotted capital early here.
I mean, we get 2 Russell Wilson games in there, and he adds 8 points on each one. Like adding 18 points across the season, like in the 20th round, is better than most 20th round picks.
Yeah. Okay, so this is an interesting question just because it got brought up in the chat there. Chris took, Chris is a very good player, plays all the sports on our site. Chris took Anthony Richardson way up here at 15, in the 15th rather. We've seen him go 16, 17, kind of falling after the Daniel Jones stuff like that. In terms of like ceiling outlier potential, Richardson juxtaposed to like Dart, Cousins, Rodgers, those guys. Would you be in the case of just take Anthony Richardson and see what happens, or would you rather, the variance in some of those other guys? I guess.
Yeah, I would lean towards Richardson as the price decreases. I don't think he's going to get that much buzz. I think no matter what, people are going to be like Daniel Jones taking his job eventually. So I don't think the hype is going to be there with AR, and I still think that he has a ton of ceiling.
Eerily similar career arc to Trey Lance right now.
Oh, for sure.
Except for he actually got to start out the gates.
Yeah. It's a really difficult one. I think that maybe my answer would be in a 3 quarterback build, and I'm looking for a ceiling to chase. Like if I went Brock Purdy and Trevor Lawrence, and then he's my 3rd quarterback, I think that's fine. If it's Josh Allen plus Anthony Richardson, I don't see that tandem making sense. I think that the build would kind of be the tiebreaker in that, but I would guess that his ADP probably falls a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, man, I can already envision it. I'm making the same mistakes all over again of chasing that rushing ceiling quarterback that we don't know if is good or not in BBM season, where I end up overweight Justin Fields again, overweight some backdoor Trey Lance stuff, overweight Anthony Richardson this year. I get so enamored with prospect who we thought was really good, who has limited sample size coming into the league, let alone limited sample size in said league.
Yeah. He's a fascinating one. The tools are so damn good though that in the game we're playing, got to come in first place out of thousands of drafts. That I still think it's probably a decent enough selection. I think in a 3 quarterback build for me though.
Jade on Blue sounds like a steakhouse. Here we go.
Right? Yeah, Texas. He can probably start one himself.
Nice. Okay, are we gonna do the Galbrain scroll here? Both these guys have 3 quarterbacks. I highly doubt they go 4. They're both quite competent players. So, yeah, should we take a swing at one of these back end quarterback guys here just for usable points? Are we comfortable with the 6-8-3 that we currently have?
Well, so let's see. Well, we have like a potential giant stack going. I think that's where Kirk and Russ would end up. So I think that's a path if we wanted to go Kirk or Russ. Man, these guys are so bad.
Yeah, I just don't see a name that's jumping out to me. Who do you think is more likely to land with the Giants and or care about?
I'll probably go Russ. He's already linked there.
All right, sounds good.
Terrible, but 20th round is terrible.
It's the year of our Lord 2025, and we are taking Russell Wilson in the 20th round here. Actually, with the trade of DK and the release of Lockett, I officially have no active Seahawks players jerseys anymore.
Sad.
Sad day. What
is
that
the Darnold
was.
one coming?
No.
Not yet.
Maybe JSN, or maybe, you know what I'm a big proponent of now with jerseys and stuff like that is dusty dudes that will look back in like 10 years and laugh about. Like if I had a Max Strong fullback jersey right now, like I'd be levitating. Like I want like shit like that in my closet in the future. Like,
what about the ball knower like guard? Whatever second round guard, and you just got like the offensive lineman jersey. You're like, yeah.
I have a Russell Okongwu jersey.
Classic. I mean, like this guy knows ball. He's going the O line.
Yeah. Like, and actually, I have a Walter. This is a crazy little one story. I have a Walter Jones, like one of the Mitchell and Ness like throwback ones or whatever, and I randomly wore it to a Mariners game. This would be 3 or 4 years ago, and he ended up that day throwing out the first pitch and then sitting right in front of us, like 2
Wow.
spots over. And so I asked him to sign in.
That's amazing.
It's hilarious. Just all random. Like I just
Mhm.
happened to wear it on the day in which he threw out the opening pitch. I had no idea. It was crazy.
That's so awesome. Yeah, I think my
Yeah.
favorite random one, I have a Sammy Watkins Bills jersey, but the
Ooh,
like
tight.
the white Bills jerseys are so fire, and Sammy Watkins is it's hilarious.
Yeah. The only one that could possibly best that would be if it was CJ Spiller.
That's nasty. That's nasty stuff.
Little Marshawn Lynch Buffalo Bills. That's not
That would
bad.
be sweet. That would be sweet.
Hayden, I usually read off the team for everybody here real quickly. We went with 3-6-8-3. Allen, Purdy, Jacobs, Connor, Tank, Ray Davis, Tyler Algier, and Will Shipley, all guys in which I've heard of. Here we're going to start dipping into the guys. And actually, no, I'm pretty good on this one. We got Chase, we got Tet, we got Emeka, we got Hunter, all big upside swings. Diggs, please sign with the Patriots, I guess. Jaden Higgins, who's everybody's favorite riser right now. De'Ami Brown with the new contract. Darius Slayton for some floor points. Kittle likely, and then Mason Taylor, who's going to go ahead of Terrence Ferguson in the draft. Hayden, I got to ask you the question. On the scale of sucks to fucks, how does this one rate?
Well, I can say this. Every single player we drafted will be on the football field this year. You know, like that's
huge.
It's hard
Huge.
to say. You can like definitively these guys are playing football this year, so we're in the dance. I mean, yeah, I think all the rookie wide receivers that we took, I think are all going to go top 50, and some of them might go top 10. So like that's for where we were drafted. I mean, we kind of punted off wide receiver. I think that we have enough upside to make the difference. So yeah, you can draft some guys that do not have enough money. Like going Slayton and Brown, like the money was sent to them. They're on the football field. So like that's passing the threshold to me.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, like that's one low-key understated thing at the back end there is like worrying about guys who are potential, like you're juxtaposing cut candidates versus guys who are actually going to play and get paid.
Yeah.
All right. Hayden, I kept you too long here, taking too much of your time. I know you got to go record some new videos there. Refresher, it was RJ Harvey, and who's next?
DJ Giddens, Kansas State. So
Giddens.
Yep. And then
All right.
I'll have probably running back rankings written reports probably next week once I've watched a couple more of these guys. So yeah.
Awesome.
And then receivers next week on the channel. Great.
Yeah. You guys are all already watching and following, but if not, I put a link in the bio and all that good stuff. And Underdog Network for all Hayden stuff. Guys, please hit it with a like, a follow, a subscribe, a notification, all that fun stuff. And I mean, you're all already playing on the platform of the people. No need to remind you. You best be. I'll be jumping over to the paywall right now. You guys will get redirected from here. I'm going to relieve myself real quickly, and then we are going to do a quick and dirty, unabated breakdown of the NBA slate there. So on behalf of myself, Hayden, everybody's favorite time on the show, the end. Peace.